Hi, this is Barb from RECUR360, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of our automation features for NSF invoices. If you are using one of our payment processors who we can sync a payment status with, we currently have 3 of those. Those would be RECUR360 payments with our Paya integration, NMI integration, or Intuit Merchant Services. We have a feature to be able to sync the status of that payment, and we can therefore take an action depending upon that status. So in our ACH sync options, I have the ability to automatically perform an action when a payment status has been changed to either declined or voided in this case. My options on what action I can take are I can take no action, I can delete the payment from QuickBooks, void the payment from QuickBooks, or create a new NSF invoice. Today, that's the option I'd like to talk about. And if you choose that, there are a few more settings that you need to set up. The system will automatically create a new invoice with a single line item on it and move the payment to that. So that new invoice needs a line item to be used for that. In my case, I've chosen an NSF return item, which is a service type item in my QuickBooks company file. That item needs to be linked to either directly to your bank account or to a other current asset clearing type account. And we'll talk about that in just a second when we look at our QuickBooks. The other line item that needs to be linked in RECUR360, if you would like to add a new processing fee to that invoice as well, to charge your customer for the NSF fee. So I've chosen to do that, and I have a service item again in QuickBooks called NSF fee, and I'd like to add that as a flat charge, and it's going to be $45. Let's look at the setup of those 2 items in QuickBooks. So if I go, in my case, I'm connected to a QuickBooks Online account. If I go to QuickBooks Online and I go to Products and Services and I scroll down, I'm going to be able to see that my NSF fee item, if I look at it, is set up as just a regular service item, and it gets billed to the fees billed income account. If I then look at my NSF invoice item, that item is also a service item, but it is linked in an income account to my NSF clearing account. And that is a general ledger account that I created and set up to be an other current asset. So if I look here at my NSF clearing account and I view the register of that, I can see that I've already had some transactions go through there. So I've had a deposit go through there and 2 invoices go through there. So I currently have a negative balance in there. This is going to be used to move those payments when that payment comes back from you, from the payment processor. So with all this set up and ready to go, I'll show you how that actually happens. So when a customer pays an invoice with an ACH, let's say my Diego Rodriguez, I'm going to go make an invoice for him and pay it by an ACH. So when I go to his customer account and I go to create a new invoice, I'm then going to set that invoice up. We'll make it be due at the end of the month. We'll add a line item to it for landscaping, let's say, and we'll charge him $250. We'll save that, and we'll choose that we want to automatically process this payment when we're creating the invoice, and we want to process it to that ACH account. So I press Create Invoice. That is going to create the invoice, process the payment, and post that invoice and that payment back over to QuickBooks. So once that happens, I will be able to see that then in my payment processing screen. So if I now go to my NMI gateway and I submit and look for my transactions, I'm going to be able to see that it shows up there when I view all of my transactions. If I sort them by my newest transaction here, there's Diego's transaction that we just ran through for $251. If I look at it here, then on NMI, I'm able to void it. Or when NMI would determine that that customer did not have sufficient funds, they would mark it as returned or voided, and then it would automatically update that in their gateway as well. So now that the transaction has been successfully canceled and voided, RECUR360 would be able to see that overnight tonight or on its next sync with NMI. So currently, if I go to my reports menu, since I have not synced yet, and I look at my ACH history, I'm going to see here, there's Diego's transaction. It says the status is pending because that's the last status we got from NMI. Now if I press my NMI sync, that is going to go see that it was voided over there or that it was insufficient funds, and it's going to update the status and then take over and do its transaction edit. So behind the scenes, it will go create a new invoice for Diego. It will move the payment from the original invoice to that one, and then it will email Diego that he now owes a balance due on that invoice. So if we go look at this now, we are going to be able to see what happened with his invoices. So if I go look at all of his invoices, that transaction has happened. And I can see here that he has this $295 invoice now that is open. And if I look at the detail of it, it is the original installation of landscaping design invoice, and there has been one more line item added to it for $45. So originally this invoice showed as paid, but it is now unpaid because the transaction was voided and a fee was added. The new invoice that got created for Diego, if I go look at all of my invoices again, here that payment was moved to is I'm sorry, I picked the wrong invoice for Diego. He has a lot of invoices here. So this one here for $251 is my returned check invoice. So I see that this was a returned check invoice, and this was the original invoice number. So my new invoice number is 5096. My original invoice number was 5095. The payment has also been moved to this invoice, so this invoice is fully paid. The customer also received an invoice that shows that his payment failed. So Diego is going to get this email that says, your payment from your ACH came back as NSF. Please make sure your bank account has enough money. This is the text that I typed in my payment processor setting of what I wanted the email to say. It also mentions what account was tried to charge, when it was attempted, and it then shows him that it was for the installation of your landscaping, and I've added an NSF fee. Then he would need to go repay this invoice. So let's go pay this invoice as cash because we took cash from him, let's say. So in my collection center now, if I go find Diego, I'm going to be able to pay this invoice. So I will process a payment. Let's say I didn't want to take another ACH from him. I'm going to change that to take it as cash or a check, whatever I took. We'll take it as cash here, and we'll email him a receipt. So that payment will now post over to QuickBooks, and that invoice is now fully paid as well. Now, when I look in QuickBooks at what has happened here, if I go look under my sales and I go look at customers for Diego, I will now see again that Diego has zero balance due because he made that cash payment. So he is fully paid up now. So he's got each one of these invoices in here. The $295 one is the newest one. So if we look at that, that's going to be for this invoice for that payment. Okay, that was my cash payment. And if I look at my clearing account from an accounting perspective under chart of accounts, I will now see that my NSF clearing account is even more negative. So if I view the register for this, I will see that the new invoice for Diego has been moved. That's the return check invoice, and it's for $251. I also have one in here from Amy's Bird Sanctuary because she also bounced a check to me as well. So from a QuickBooks perspective, I already deposited the original payment from Diego. Now I need to go record that that payment was pulled back out of my bank account. So when I do my next bank deposit, I would be able to see in here that Diego made a new payment as well, and Diego also made a cash payment. Okay? So there's two more payments in here from Diego. So I'm going to record both of those, but I'm also going to record that the bank deducted that $251 for Diego's bounce check. So I'm going to do that under Add Funds to this deposit, and I'll do that to the GL account for my NSF funds. So we're going to take that out of the NSF clearing account, and this is for the bounced ACH payment from Diego. So I will have a note in there in description that'll go over to the GL, so I'll be able to see that as well. Then I will say that that was for a negative $251. And I will save and close that. So now that payment amount has been reflected. When I go now into my accounting and I look at my NSF clearing account and I view the register for that, now Diego's has been washed back out because I had his NSF invoice that came in, and then in the deposit, I removed that back out of my checking account and put it to the NSF clearing account. So now Diego's balance is all back to zero. His account is back to normal. The NSF invoice has been created, and he can go create new additional invoices now. Thanks for watching.